Hey, welcome back to Keys and Gears. We're so glad you're here. We were joking before the episode here, but I'm Mark Liesner, and this is Bess Dickson. I'm a mortgage professional. She is a realtor in Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have over 40 years of experience. Good gosh, between the two of us, Bess.
Dive in. What are we going to talk about today?
Today we're talking about three things. We're continuing our series here with the inspections, right? So now you've gone through the inspection, you have the report. Now what? So we're talking about three things here. How to separate the deal breakers from the normal wear and tear of a house, right? That's number one. Number two is clarity on how to negotiate these items with the seller, right? That's a very critical point. Number three is which ones of these repair items on the inspection report are going to affect future value of the house, the future expenses that are coming up, how to mitigate those repairs and be eyes wide open going into this home purchase, moving forward after you've signed on the dotted line, gotten your keys in hand. Now you own a house. You want to mitigate and understand what's coming your way because the inspection report will show you a lot of that. So let's dive in. Number one, how do we separate the normal wear and tear best from the deal breakers? Like, defining what a deal breaker is for you is probably critical along with normal wear and tear. If you're talking a 125-year-old house, normal wear and tear is something different than if you're talking a 5-year-old house.
Fair enough. What is universal in the defining of the wear and tear are the innate systems of the home functioning as originally designed?
And let that sink in. Functioning as they were intended to function. So if the HVAC is running and cooling, it may not be cooling to the temperature you want, but it's still cooling. So that's where the gray area begins, right? Is that a repair? Is that,
well, I don't know about that. Here would be my pushback. Right. All right. So basically, you just made a statement that I have heard from listing agents.
Right.
So I'll pretend like we'll play good. How about that? Let's play good cop, bad cop
right,
today.
yes.
I will be the good cop as the buyer agent.
What?
And say,
I want to be good cop. All right. Never mind.
Well, if we're both doing our fiduciary responsibility,
yes.
we're both being good cops. Okay. Yes. I digress. And that is, however, it was not designed to run 24/7.
Exactly.
And so, yes, it's cooling, but it is not operating as designed, which is to turn on, pull the house to temp, and then turn off. And if it is running constantly, and hey, you viewers out there are probably experiencing it right now and not realizing it, that you have a system in distress, especially if you are in Texas and it is summer. And you're like, golly, my electric bill went through the roof. Seems like the HVAC is running all the time, okay? They should not, even in 100-degree temperature and even in Texas, okay? If they are, you've got a system that is sick and needs some adjustment. And so that is where, going back to our inspection example, we would, if that comes up, we're going to call in a specialist to give us an idea of what exactly is going on.
And you just made the point that in a previous episode we had, trust your professionals. This is exactly why you need to hire a true professional realtor, because they know how to respond to the pushback that comes from the listing agent, right? The listing agent on my side of the table, I'm playing the bad cop, okay. So to speak. My job is to shoot holes in it. My job is to say to my seller, I'm going to do my very best to get this list
because you're protecting the checkbook.
Well,
I mean,
you're right or wrong, it's like an attorney. The law is not right or wrong. The law is the law, right? So it's not a matter of am I right, am I wrong? I'm defending my client, you're defending your client, right? And so separate, but back to what's normal wear and tear versus deal breakers. It really comes down to your definition of what a deal breaker is. And some of the things on the list may be a deal breaker for you as a buyer, as a layman looking at it, but your professionals are telling you they're not deal breakers. So if you've hired professionals that you trust, you probably should listen to them and say, okay, this may be something I'm hung up on, but it's not really a deal breaker. Whereas other things that your professionals have brought up should be deal breakers may not even be on your list. And those are the ones you should be paying attention to.
And let's
Right.
go back to, let's talk about deal breaker. I want to dial in
Right.
on that word. I don't know if you noticed, but he's like used it 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Let's define deal breaker, right? When Mark is saying deal breaker, you're saying walk away from this house.
Correct.
And or run away from
Right.
this house.
Right.
Okay. If I would say the end of that sentence, run away from this house, if you and the seller do not come up with an agreeable solution.
Right.
And that is key.
And it needs to be a balanced approach. It needs to be balanced, and both sides need to be able to walk away and
Mhm.
feel like this was fair, right?
So a balanced solution, very good real life example. Home here in Dallas on M Streets.
Right.
All right. Pure and Beam home. We discover, I'm representing the buyer. We discover that the line that takes the gray water, the old water, the toilet water,
Right.
if you, okay, out of the house is original to the house. Well, in the 20s, that means it was clay.
Clay.
Okay. Interestingly enough, clay to this day, if you talk to any plumber that knows his stuff, will say actually clay effluent, crap pipes.
Yep.
Are we allowed to say that? I just did. Okay. Is actually the best type of pipe. It's even better than PVC. It's even better than cast iron. The challenge is, I don't know about you, I love to plant. I love plants. I love growing things. I love growing herbs. I use clay pots because they are so fantastic. Here's the challenge. Sometimes Truman, my dog, will trip me, or Bess, just not paying attention, will stumble, and that clay pot
Breaks like that.
breaks like that.
Mhm.
So you can imagine that these clay pot pipes that have been running out to the street, and we've been digging and we've been planting all these gorgeous oak trees. One of the reasons why people love M Streets is the magnificent oak and pecan trees and all the different trees. They have found time to type. Okay, you hear what I'm saying. The pipe had failed. My buyers loved the house. The buyers wanted to pursue the house. So during option period, we pulled in my trusted plumber. They came out and gave us a quote. And so with that quote, we served it up to the seller and say, gee whiz, we'd love to buy this home, but apparently your pipes have failed. And here was the seller's response. We noticed the toilets were flushing slower than when we first moved in. We noticed that our washer machine seemed to be taking longer to actually completely empty out after a load. We thought maybe it was just the washer was getting old, and it was da-da-da-da-da-da. So essentially we had their buy-in that, okay, so now we talked about what was the solution. The solution was the sellers agreed, because they probably should have done this a long time ago, to go ahead and cover the full fee by the plumber after the fact. And so it manifested itself for my buyers as help in closing cost, which, yes, here we go again. Y'all are going to say, Bess and Mark, you always do this. I guess another episode we should talk about closing costs.
Yes.
But what that meant for my buyers was the sellers are going to take care of $10,000 in this case of their closing costs, which means it was $10,000 less that the buyers had to pull out of their home savings account. So that $10,000 got to stay in the home savings account. And then on the day that they get the keys, they can then call the plumber because they have that cash there. And what's great about that solution is that now you, the buyer, have that relationship with that tradesman moving forward. So if there's a warranty concern, you're not having to go through the filter of a seller. You're able to work directly with your chosen professional.
So now we've backed into number 2 on the list, which is clarity to negotiate. That's what we're talking about, is the deal breakers, the must-haves that you need to have. How do you negotiate those with the seller? You got to come up with a game plan, a strategy, right? We talked about in a previous episode about having red herrings on the list, things that the seller can cross off and say, I'm not doing these. And, you know, and on the seller side, if I was a seller listing agent, you're also coaching your seller saying some of these things would come up in any inspection. So you either deal with them now with this current buyer if they're reasonable. Now, if they're being unreasonable, I just say, hey, let's wait for the next buyer and walk away from these buyers, right? You have that option as a seller. But as a buyer, understand also, I want to bring up a point. Some buyers have the misconception that the seller is lying, that they know about these repairs, they know about the problems with the house, they're just not saying it. And a lot of times the seller has no idea what is going on with their house. And the inspection report is just as eye-opening to them as it is to you as a buyer. And a lot of times it's very distressing to a seller, actually, to read that inspection report because they have no idea, right? Which is the other episode we're going to do on pre-listing inspection. Should we do them or should we not? Anyway, so back to clarity on negotiating. So coming up with a strategy of, hey, let's make sure we hone in on the items that you really have to have. Otherwise, you're going to walk away, right?
There you go. And
that's the key.
That's the
right?
key. Is if this is not addressed, we're out of here.
If this doesn't happen, then we're walking away. And be very clear about that, right? You got to draw a line in the sand because this is a living being that you're buying a house, and it can cost you a lot of money if you just buy with your heart and not with your head, right? So you got to marry the two. You fall in love with the house, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its flaws. And if those flaws can't be fixed, you should probably divorce the house right now or not even marry it.
Or if it's flaws that you aren't fine with living with. I mean, like a big flaw for, again, going back to our in-streets homes, but this is something you know ahead of time. This is a terrible tangent, Bess. Okay, I'll edit myself, but I'll just go ahead and finish now since I already started it. Is no garage.
Yeah.
All right. Many of you watching this from all across the country will be mind blown when I tell you that when you're in in-streets, spending $800,000 on a house that does not have a garage is common.
Yeah. That you may think it's crazy,
right?
But it's not.
But I guess maybe I wasn't so wrong. And that's a flaw that you as a buyer, when you put in that offer, when you went into that house the first time, when you swiped right when you were dating on Zillow, were already aware of, and you chose to be okay to live with it. Because of other mitigating lifestyle wows, you thought it was worth it.
It's okay to accept that flaw.
Okay, so that doesn't have anything to do with inspections, but it is hopefully an illustrator for you of what we are talking about when we're saying flaws that you can live with.
And that brings us really to the third point, which is mitigating future expenses, mitigating future risks that you're taking. Every house you buy is a risk. Okay, it's not hunky-dory afterwards. There's always things that go wrong with the house.
Oh, I thought you were talking about kids for a second.
Well, yeah, that too. Don't get me started on that.
I thought we were going on a tangent.
I was a kid too, so I can't point the finger without pointing right back at me. Anyway, but the house part of it, the inspection report will tell you what will happen in the future a lot of times. The inspector will say, hey, this roof, in my estimation, will probably last another 4 or 5 years. Well, that's a huge expense, right? So be ready to prepare for, these are things coming my way. And that's the kind of inspector I always liked working with. The ones that were saying, hey, don't quote me on this. Don't take me to court over this. Don't sue me. But in my opinion, and I'm just giving you my opinion, this water heater is old. The roof is old. You just got to be ready. They're still functioning as is. They're still good, but they're nearing the end of their life. So don't be surprised if that water heater explodes the day after closing. Don't be surprised the next hailstorm we have, that roof is shot, right? So eyes wide open, understanding what you can mitigate now or what you should mitigate in the future. What are the things that I need to save up money for? Because this is a big thing that you're buying here. And for many people, it's the largest savings they have is in their
Largest
house.
savings account.
You know, and I hesitate to call it an investment. To me, it's a savings account. So it's money for the future, right? And you want to protect that asset, that money that you've put into. So repairing the house is a big deal. Maintaining the house is a big deal.
Those are all protection boundaries.
Right.
Around
The inspection report will tell you a lot of that, but too many people go into it with their eyes closed. They just love the house, right? They want to get those repairs done now, but they don't really look at it. How does this help me in the future, right? And as a real estate professional, was, in my view, part of my job is to say, hey, we've got the negotiation done now, but after closing, we need to go through this inspection report again to let me show you things that you need to take care of now. And I'd like to do that before closing, but sometimes the timing doesn't work out. So a lot of times I did that after closing. I said, let's walk through the house again. And let me point out some things I think you really need to protect this house by doing these things.
Not too different than when you take your older model car. Okay, like me personally.
Used car.
Jack the Jeep. Jack my Jeep. Just hit over 200,000 miles.
Right.
Go team. And my sweet favorite mechanic. Now, whenever I go in, let's say every 6 months, for things that really start annoying me, i.e. Jack's little check engine light. Jack, really? Again? Anyway, we have, this is something we need to address within the next 60 days. This is something that we can address in the next 6 months. This is what would be ideal within the next year.
Yeah.
I think that's just part of the process with many things.
The interesting thing was the people that took my advice back in the day, a lot of times I relisted their house, right? 5 years later.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of the people that took my advice to really maintain their home and really, took that to heart, those people were actually more realistic on the price that they wanted 5 years later than people who just let the house go and then wanted top dollar for the house. The thinking was like completely misaligned. I would think it was the opposite. I've taken really good care with this house. I should get top dollar. It was the opposite. I don't know about your experience, but that was mine.
Well, I've got a recent experience actually that I can share, and that is, and this kind of ties in with everything else we're talking about systems. We bought a house that had a roof that we were like, okay, the next time there's a hailstorm, this roof is probably going to be toast.
Yeah.
All right. Hailstorm came, ended up not being toast. They did go with a cheapskate insurer.
Yeah.
Ding, another episode.
Mental note. Insurance company. Yes.
But luckily, Bess has a fantastic roofer. All that to say, we replaced the roof. We're now selling it, going back to protecting their investment of buying the home to begin with. All right. Our play of we'll just get it replaced later did not pan out.
Right.
But we're now going to get it replaced later with my sweet roofer. He was able to do it at the best friend rate, which many contractors do, which is great. Anyway, and we are now under contract with their house. This house is under contract. It was interesting. The buyer, who, by the way, in this current tenuous market in Dallas, where most buyers expect to go under contract for below list price, they came in slightly above list price. And within a week, all right, so here we are in a market, you've probably read the news, we're here in 2025. The average days on market right now in Dallas is moved up to about 60 days. So again, we're under contract within 7 days, slightly over list. And the buyer agent said the fact that the roof was less than 1 year old was a huge driver for this buyer, because they had been under contract on a previous home and the roof had come up as failed, and the seller was resolute in not dealing with the roof.
Right.
And that was a deal breaker for this buyer.
Right.
There you go. So we reap the benefit, one, of a seller having lost his mind at the previous house, and two, being aware of conditions on our house and addressing that. And now we get to move forward.
So that's the shiny brass key is you got a roof, a brand new roof as a buyer because the seller was willing to listen to you saying.
And a side deal on that, we as sellers got to choose the timing of the roof replacement and who the roof was with. And in the process, we also got a really sexy discount, I will say.
Right. But you're probably allowed the buyer to pick the shingle, right?
No, we weren't under contract at the time.
Okay. All right.
There you go. And so, yeah. Well, but we picked, I mean, there you go. We picked weathered wood. I mean,
yes.
99% of the roofs in Texas are weathered wood.
You didn't pick
That's another podcast. There you go.
maroon colored roof or
no maroon, no blue, no green. Weathered wood. There you go. It's a happy color.
So here we are, end of the next episode. Thank you for joining us. Please drop us a line down below, comment. Let us know what you want to hear about. Drop us a line in the email, keysandgears@gmail.com. Let us know how we can help you in your home buying journey. And we always like, input from our listeners. So we look forward to seeing you next time. Till then, have a great day.